The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show and Matt Landowski and Sweet Hand Sports. Our mission at Sweet Hand Sports is to gear you up for greatness. With our top tier gloves, you are set to grip, win, and dominate. Grip your victory and leave your mark on the game. Sweet Hand Sports brings you batting gloves and now golf gloves that are designed to be durable and breathable. Go to sweethandsports.com, use the promo code BONO10 and save yourself 10%. Grip your victory at Sweet Hand Sports. Once again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10 to save yourself 10%. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming product at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of their suppliers are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. He has sent me a complimentary bottle of their beard balm. My beard has never felt softer. It has never been more tamed and has never grown faster or looked healthier. I've been using these products for a little while now, and I love every minute of it. Once again, buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 15%. Next, we are brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood. The Tactical Brotherhood is a movement to support America. We believe that there is a gap in focus when it comes to companies that support America. We want to be the front lines of supporting Americans and are determined to find something worth being proud of in every aspect of our military, starting with the men and women who serve and protect us. Our mission is simple: to unite like-minded individuals by celebrating what makes each one of us unique Americans. You don't have to be a veteran to join us. You just have to love America. Go to tacticalbrotherhood.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, the tacticalbrotherhood.com, promo code Mike Bono, save yourself 10%. Next, we are brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company brought to you by first responders for first responders. They are a clothing apparel company that helps those who have worked through the COVID-19 pandemic and also for all the first responders with their mental and physical health. Deemed Fit donates 100% of their net profits from the Never Forget collection sales to the Tunnel of Towers Foundation to support those from 9/11. Once again, go to deemedfit.com. Check out all of their great products. All of them have great messages. They fit and look great. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 10%. By supporting Deemed Fit through your own purchase, gifts bought for your friends, family, and colleagues, or by becoming one of our brand ambassadors, you become part of the Deemed Fit family. Don't miss out on this great way to help and support everyone who has helped and supported our country. Deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Next, we have Shankit Golf. Shankit Golf is golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We're not going to go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but we are going to give you the gear to help you rock it on and off of the course. Our goal here at Shankit Golf is for everyone to have a great time on and off of the course, and we're going to help you look great while doing it. Go to shankitgolf.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, shankitgolf.com, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Web Western. Web Western is for those who roll up their sleeves and do what it takes to get the job done. The arrow serves as a constant reminder to be a straight shooter, no excuses, no bullshit, just honest hard work. It's a brand that reflects the passion within us to lend a hand when it is needed, fight to protect our God-given rights, and live life like there is no tomorrow. Be a straight shooter. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I got a great and annual episode for us here this week. We are going to be breaking down the high school football preview. I got a bunch of coaches and some media personnel that are going to come on with this roundtable. I'm going to let them introduce themselves here. And Drew, let's start with you.
Hey guys, Drew McLaughlin here. I am from Lowville, Ohio. I am the head coach of Lowville High School, and this is going into my second year.
Awesome. Marshko, let's go to you next.
Hey guys, Christopher Marsco. I'm the head coach at LeBray High School in Lovettsburg, Ohio, in Trumbull County. And this is my first year at the helm of the program and the first year as a head coach overall.
Awesome. Bob, let's go to you next.
Bob Gavalier from Youngstown, or 1390 Youngstown. This will be my actually my 19th year. But a total of almost 30 years there doing football. 12 WUBD.
Awesome. All right, next we got D. Frank.
Hey, Dave Frank, McDowell High School, Erie, Pennsylvania, home of the newly christened James Conner Field. This is my 26th year coaching high school football. Currently an offensive analyst, but I've been a head coach and coached just about everything.
I gotcha. Next we got Nick Tamba.
Hello all, I am Nick Tamba. I coach at Willoughby South High School. I'm their defensive coordinator. Been there for, I think this is going into year 10. I'm a Eastlake North grad. I coach at Beechwood for a year or two and Orange High School, all in Ohio.
Awesome. Next on the list, we got Sean.
How are you doing, guys? This is year 28 coaching and 12th year as the head coach at Eastlake North, and was at Gilmore Academy for 4 years as the head coach prior to that.
Awesome. And last but not least, we got Tony.
Hi, my name is Tony Bogan. I'm a current videographer with Keon Sports. This is actually my 11th season of covering high school sports and my 8th year of being a videographer.
Awesome. So as y'all can see, we have some media personnel. We have a great slew of coaches. We're going to sit here and we're going to talk everything, get you ready for the high school football season. I know it was always an exciting time for me, being a former high school football player myself. Love this time of year, getting ready to kick off the season. So we're going to jump right into it. This one is just for you, Marsco. We're going to start and kick off the show with you here. Chris, you are a first-time head coach this year. What is your outlook for this season ahead?
Yeah, so, Bill Boren, high school Hall of Fame head coach, he's a mentor of mine. He told me for a long time, Chrissy, if they want to use the head coach, that means that there's a problem and they're looking for someone. So I understood kind of going in. He'd joke with me with that quite a bit. And I understand, jobs don't just open up unless there's a reason for them. So, I believe every staff tries to do what's the right way for them. That was what the previous staff did, So I think for any first-year head coach, you want to do it your way. So, getting in there, kind of laying the foundation. We tried to change the culture, a lot of accountability and positivity, just a little different kind of attitude, having better spirit as a group. But we've made tremendous strides. Couldn't be more proud of the work my guys have put in. Really grinded them through June. I really wanted to see who was committed to football and who wasn't. And, the spirit of the tough Leavittsburg kids kind of is holding true from what I've seen so far. They've been sticking it out and working really hard, and it's given us a lot of optimism. I think one of the things we really enjoy, I don't know, it doesn't seem like our outside expectations very high, and we like it like that. I mean, they're coming off a 5-5 year, lost a big senior class, so we're cognizant what people think of us, but we definitely use it to fuel us and observe it in a positive way that we could use to benefit us. We're encouraged within our four walls and think we got what it takes to be special this year, and it'll all sift out here pretty soon. 30 more days till we find out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of there. And I'm obviously rooting for you, brother. You've been on the show a lot. We'd love to support you. And I'm looking for big things from you there, Chris. So good luck to you this season. And we'll see what happens. But for all of you guys, we have a good mix of head coaches, assistant coaches, and media. In your opinion, what do you think is the hardest thing about high school football? Examples could be something like, the players' interest, facilities, fans, parents, money or lack thereof, or anything else that you might like to discuss. And D. Frank, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I think the difficulties we run into are competing interests off the field. There's so many different things that are just so much easier. They can keep people's attention. Whereas it used to be, you try to keep, guys' heads away from the girls or from, partying or whatever. Now there's so many different interests, not to mention so many different sports, and sports specialization goes right along with that. Fall baseball, come on. How many games of baseball do you need to play in a year? I love baseball, but, competition with sports and getting our guys to be there is definitely one of the biggest challenges we run into now.
I got you. Bob, what about you on the media side?
I think the hardest thing maybe during the season as you're doing games, we make it 10 games. Season when you get a bad game from a good team, that two teams you thought they were going to be good, and one of them's kind of struggled a little bit. Just kind of thinking big things like that, and still people to listen to it. So sometimes it's kind of hard to do, and then keeping people interested when you got especially when you got the running clock, you're trying to get in stuff, the game fast when you got a running clock.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a little bit of audio issues with you there, Bob. Kept cutting in and out, but I think we got the meat and potatoes of that there for you. But let's go to Drew next.
Yeah, D. Frank took the words right out of my mouth. It's the competing interest, and at a small school like I'm at, our number was 51 boys to choose from. So we have cross country, we have golf, fall baseball is a big deal. There's open gym basketball, and there's only 51 boys. So I'm one of the biggest struggles is making sure getting these kids there and getting the interest. That's one of my focuses in the offseason. My staff, we talked about what we want to focus on, and building a team. So we had 10 seniors last year that left, and out of those 51 boys, we got 30 out, and we got more than half. We're really excited about that. We really did a good job with that, getting these kids out. But just like D. Frank said, it's a struggle. It really is. There's so many clubs. There's some different things they want to do, and when football is the hardest one of them all, sometimes the mentality of the kid goes, I don't want to do the hardest thing. I'll do the easier thing. And it just is what it is nowadays. But, I'm happy with the guys we have. I'm excited that they love football. They're football guys. And, that's what I think is a competing interest.
I got you. Sean, as seems like the resident veteran here of the sport, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'd agree with both coaches prior. It's the off the field distractions. Whether it might be work, it might be another sport, it might be making poor decisions. But trying to get guys out and then keep them out, it's a huge commitment. It's 12 months out of the year. There's early morning lifts. It's hot in the summer. It's cold in the winter. And we talk to our guys all the time about taking that pride. There's probably about 500 to 600 boys in our building, and we'll probably have around 80 to 90 out for football. That's a whole lot of guys not playing football. Now they're doing other sports and things like that, so they're not all just kind of running the streets. But there's a lot of other things they can be doing, including sitting at home playing video games, taking the easy way out. It's hard to make the commitment for football. When I was growing up, and maybe some of the older coaches, you showed up 2 weeks before August, you did your 2 days, and then you got ready to play. When the season ended, that was it. But now it's 12 months out of the year, so it's a grind and it's a commitment. So trying to get guys to buy in and do that is a little bit tougher nowadays, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, what about you on the media side too as well? You're muted, Tony.
Oh, what was the question?
What's the hardest part about, in your opinion, the football season and the high school football season? Like, is it distractions?
The weather.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's the weather, especially doing videography. You'll have days where it's like, I've done some Saturday games where it's like 80 to 90 degrees and you got to drink 3 or 4 waters to stay hydrated. Till week 14 last year, you have a torrential downpour in the regional championships, I believe 2 years in a row. That was fun. You go from a torrential downpour right into snowy and cold conditions. I never had any blizzard type conditions yet, but I would have to say the weather is really good for about 11, 12 weeks out of the year. And then last 2, it just gets terribly cold.
Gotcha. Coach Tomba, let's go to you next.
All right. Yeah, I would agree with all of the things that people said. Kind of talk about different topics, is keeping the kids in line with their schoolwork and their grades. Like, I've had some pretty good athletes fall out because of school, fall out because of behavior, fall out of all the distractions that are not from school or not from the field. That's always huge. Another big problem is just trying to work around all of the kids' schedules, because they're all playing different sports and they're all doing something different. So you try to have all these summer camps and practices, but they're doing different sports and they're going on a trip. And then you have like a kid or two that you want to be at practice, but he can't because his family brought him here, or he's going to this game, or he's going to this sport and stuff like that. So there are a lot of problems with it, but all of us love it, and we'll probably continue to do it, and we'll continue to fight that battle.
All right. Last but not least, our first-time head coach, Chris, round us out.
I kind of agree with everyone, but I'd sum it up in a different word. And I'm going to shout out Woody Hayes. I got it from him, and I'm a well-documented Michigan fan, but it holds true. Apathy. There's a lot of apathetic kids right now. A carelessness where, you're fighting over keeping them, engaged in what you're doing over maybe going to open gyms or, fall ball or summer league or whatever it is. But there's also a overall carelessness almost sometimes, or a lack of understanding of what it takes to win. One of the things we've talked about in our coach's office and even with some of the players, we feel like some of them would rather not have to work hard, take whatever record they get than do the work required that it takes to be a playoff level team. So that was one of the things we believed in as a new staff, trying to see who was legit and who wasn't, because we feel like there is so much apathy. And in a sport where you need 11 to act as one, one person not finding, value in blocking outside as a wide out, or, finishing things off. I don't know. I would always sum it up as apathy, because the kids are interested in it to a certain extent, and then some of them find out what the price tag is on the item they're after, and it's not for everybody. I think Coach Sean said it. It's not for everybody. It's for a select few, but for those same reasons, I think that's why we all love it too. So I agree with everyone. I just think there's a lot of apathy in the world right now in general.
No, absolutely. Great points by all y'all. I want to get to my media guys here. So Bob and Tony, you guys are both in the media space and cover games in different areas of the state of Ohio. Talk to us about some teams you would like the listeners to keep an eye on this season. And Bob, let's start with you.
Well, from this area, I think there's a lot of good teams. I think Girard and Poland are going to be at the top of the list this year. Transfers help them out there. Back coming back, then it's going to help them. I think Poland also sophomore. NEA is going to be loaded up to South Range also. Coming back, both three teams have some young teams. You got Hoodie also being competitive as well. Also up there, Chris, I know LeBray's on the radar this year, and also we've heard some good things too. So I got both those guys on the radar. But the teams that I've been, like I said, Girard's been at the top of my list this year. Looking at seeing some of the kids that they got some linemen from Ursuline transfer. So I think with that team that they went pretty far in the playoffs last year. Almost was being a little competitive with Mooney last year, but lost out. Hole in the South Range also, that NE8 is going to be really tough. The young kids are going to be all juniors, so look for them to kind of beat each other up this year.
All right, yeah. Love the shout out for the two coaches for the two teams on the show, Bob. Typical media guy. I love it. But Tony, what about you? What are some teams we should watch out for?
In Northeast Ohio, there's quite a few of them. I would have to say St. Ed's, as always. Canton, McKinley, and Massillon. Massillon's in a really, really tough region, though. Avon, they're looking for a three-peat. Glenville's looking for their 4th title in 5 years. They're based out of Cleveland, and they have a lot of athletes. Depending on what division they're going to be in, they're poised for a deep run. And I would have to say CVCA is a team that's under the radar. And on the same street, literally on the same road, Walsh Jesuit, they're a team to watch out for, as well as Archbishop Open.
Okay. Some good teams for everyone to keep an eye on there from the media aspect of it here for you. So I'm going to talk to my head coaches now. So Drew, Sean, and Chris, this one is for you guys. You are all head coaches. How do you guys go about scheduling your non-league football games outside of your conference play? Drew, let's start with you being in your second year.
Yeah, if you're listening to me on here, I'm an Ohio State fan through and through. Urban Meyer, I listen to him a lot, and his way to schedule it, he starts with big dog, medium dog, little dog, and I really believe in that. I think your week 1 game should be one of the better teams you play. You have a lot of time to prepare for that team. It's not just a 4-day preparation; it's a 2-month preparation. So I think you really should challenge yourself week 1, and then week 2 should be a team that I believe that is comparable to you. We looked this year and we found Lisbon. Lisbon has 32 guys on their team. We have 30. So they're a playoff team. They're in our region. I think it'd be a great matchup for us, a great test. And then week 3, you kind of want to get ready for your league. You don't want one of your better teams to be a week 3 matchup. I believe you want to be prepared for your league. So. I like what he said by that, and we're trying to mold that at Lowville. So, I think big dog, medium dog, little dog is the way to go.
I got you, Sean. What about you?
Yeah, so for us, we've been pretty fortunate to be in a conference. So most of our games are pre-scheduled for us already. Non-conference wise, we try to take a 2-pronged approach. We try to find teams that are going to be kind of a 50-50 type of game. Both teams have an opportunity to win and compete year in and year out. But more importantly, at this stage of the game, this far in my career, I really look for those relationships, guys that I've built relationships over the years, guys that I think would be fun to coach against. That could be a hassle with film exchange and those types of things. And, you can kind of talk all week leading up to the game and then after the game and help each other out down the road if need be. So the relationships are probably the biggest thing. But then you also have to make sure it's a good fit for both schools.
Gotcha. And first-time head coach Marsko, how'd you schedule your non-conferences?
Yeah, so I'm actually going through this right now, kind of, sifting through what's best. We're going to be in a new league next year to look a little bit different from this year. I was pleasantly surprised with the schedule when I got here. We got some pretty nice non-conference games. Pymatuning Valley is always very formidable. We're going to go up there. We're going to McDonald week 3. I think Coach Williams has almost been a head coach as long as I've been alive. So that'll be a good measuring stick for myself, my staff, and our team to kind of see where we're at against the former Region 25 winners. So that was a pleasant surprise coming in, moving forward as I get the opportunity to start reaching out and scheduling these games. I'm a big believer in testing ourselves. You have familiarity within the league and you kind of have an idea of where you stack up in there. And obviously you got to do what's best for your team also. Your approach in the NE8 scheduling non-conference might be a little different than your approach, the smaller conference like the NAC we're going to. It's the smaller conference. Our teams are all similar to, Lowville. And like Coach McLaughlin was saying, we got a couple more boys in the school, but not too much more as a Division 6 school. So finding those appropriate games, but also challenging ourselves. I don't know. I try to talk to our players all the time about living for the spotlight. It's a blessing to get to do what we're doing right now and this special season coming upon us. So, getting those opportunities to play on a Thursday night or in a big setting or getting to be game of the week, we want to live for that moment at LeBray and, starting to think a little bit bigger than maybe people have in the past. So, fit's obviously important. I think knowing your conference schedule and how many computer points are possibly lying out there for you goes a long way into picking an appropriate opponent. But I think our mentality moving forward at LeBray is going to be finding teams that we could compete with, but also challenging ourselves, playing up a division or two if possible, and, trying to get on the big stage as much as we can. Nothing helps spread your brand, your program, and all the positive things you're doing, like being in part of big games and then ultimately figuring out a way to win those. So big believer in challenging what you got and see what you have.
All good, all good. I like to see the non-conferences schedules and how those play out in every level of sports. Obviously, you're going to have your conference games, but how a team sets themselves up in those non-conferences. I always think that's critical to how a season's going to play out. And looking for big things from all three of you. We did just lose Coach Tamba to some family issues at home, so I wish him the best of luck there and everything going on there. This next question was going to be for D. Frank and him. So, D. Frank, this one's just all on you now. I got my assistants and coordinators here. Assistant coach, both McDowell High School and PA, South High School in Ohio, which was Tamba. How do you guys prepare for each week coaching at such big high schools against, marquee opponents, Dave?
Yeah, so we might as well be in the OHSAA. We play so many Ohio schools, so we open with Mentor and getting ready for some of these bigger schools that we play. The biggest thing for us is on our staff, we have a whole lot of former head coaches and guys that have been Chiefs before who are Indians again. And what that's been really fortunate is we know how to take things off of our head coach's plate. The idea is the head coach has to be comfortable delegating those duties to the assistants and be confident that they're going to make decisions in the best interest of the outfit. And in doing so, that really takes the burnout away from the head coach, which is such a big deal. We'll roster some 90 kids this year, 10 through 12, and, taking some of the equipment issues and putting out fires before they get to the head coach, anything that we can do that doesn't require his decision and he's comfortable with, you build that relationship over some time, and it's better for the whole program.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you can delegate stuff down, it just makes the head coach's life so much easier for sure. And good to see other coaches getting involved too. I know I always, I prefer talking to the assistant coaches and the coordinators and all the support staff before having to get, my ass chewed out by the head coach when I played. So it was always nice talking to those guys before them softening the blow for when the big dog came in and actually laid the hammer down for sure. This next question I got for all of you. You can only pick one stadium here, guys. What's the best stadium you've ever coached or had the media coverage in for a high school game? It just can't be your own stadium if you're a coach. And Drew, let's start with you.
Oh man, tell you what, you're making me think here.
We always do, Drew.
I know. I would have to say my number 2 in 2021. I was an assistant at Campbell. And I tell you what, Campbell Memorial Stadium is a beautiful stadium. Kind of has that double decker look on each side, kind of a bowl shape. Going around. It's a beautiful stadium. Turf's really nice. So that's my number 2. My number 1 would have to be Mollenkopf Stadium. I coached there in 2018 when I was an assistant at Champion. We played JFK there, and that place is just unbelievable. It's almost I'd compare it to a proper D3, maybe even a D2 school. It's very nice.
All right, Sean, what about you?
Yes, there's a couple. Aesthetically, NDCL, if you catch it at the right time in the fall, it's just beautiful with the foliage and the ski resort right behind it. That's always been a really cool atmosphere. Chardon's another one that's pretty unique because it doesn't have a track, so everybody's right up on top of you. And they get a good crowd, they get a good turnout. So, playing out at Chardon's a great environment. And one that's a sweet stadium. I haven't had a chance to coach in it or play in it, but we did go for 7-on-7, is Euclid, because they've got that big horseshoe. If nobody's seen it, it's a really cool stadium, and it's pretty unique. So haven't played in it, so I don't know what the game environment's like. But knowing Coach Creel really well, we went for 7-on-7 again this year. It's a really cool setup.
I got you. Marsko, let's go to you next.
This is just high school stadium?
Yep.
Okay. Real quick, I got to mention the two college ones. The Fargo Dome is freaking awesome if you ever get to go there. And getting to coach on red turf up in Shenny, Washington against Eastern Washington, that was pretty cool too. Big colorblind guy, red field, really tricky, but interesting stuff. High school wise, though, I think a real special place. My family's all from Warren. Mollenkoff Stadium's always got a special place in my heart. Got to be there as a player. Lakeview played Youngstown East there when I was a junior. Never got to coach there, though. So the one I've coached in that's the best, hands down in my mind, is Bo Ryan Stadium, Niles, Ohio. It just oozes history. I don't know if you got to be in the home side locker room at all. Someone who's a traditionalist like myself, you could hear the walls talk. It's kind of goofy, but when you're in there by yourself, you get some weird noises and stuff. There's definitely ghosts there, and get the tunnel. That's kind of unique now. There's not a lot of tunnels in high school football, and although they've cut down the capacity, it still holds a really nice crowd. It's held regional final games, state semi games within the last decade still, and it still packs a punch. When the Red Dragons are playing good ball, that's a fever pitch stadium to be in because of that whole community understands good football and how to support it. So I'd say Bo Ryan Stadium in Niles, Ohio.
Okay. D. Frank, what about you?
Here's some really great answers, and some of the ones you guys have thrown out are great already. For me, there's two that are of note that if you haven't been to, you really need to check out. Number one would be the Wolverina in Monroeville, in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania, home of the Woodland Hills Wolverines. It's an environment. It's built into the side of a hill in Pittsburgh, and it's a hostile environment for sure. Again, no track, I think, is one of the things that really kind of makes a stadium pop. Another coach brought that up. The other one I have to mention is Memorial Field in State College High School, the Little Lions in State College, Pennsylvania. And I don't know if this is the same in Ohio, but a lot of these stadiums were built after World War I in Pennsylvania, and they have these really historic kind of feels to them, whether it's Sharon Stadium or Erie's Veteran Stadium. But this stadium here in State College, they went and they redid it, and it's absolutely beautiful. You got the city, kind of right behind you, and it sits down in a bowl, and it's a really cool place to go watch a high school football game, Memorial Field in State College.
I got you. Now let's go to my media guys. Bob, what about you?
I don't know if this is cheating, but Tom Benson Stadium doing the state playoff games, it's pretty cool to go in there. So that it is considered a McKinley Stadium, but that's probably one of the better ones. But as far as high school, I agree. Mollenkoff's a great place to go see games. Another one, Hubbard's a good place. They really have fixed that place up. Good place. And then one of my other favorites, and actually it's a funny one, but Rand Stadium, the Youngstown schools, they've really fixed that stadium up, and they have a nice outlook of that. And then one other one is if you like to eat, you got to go down to Lowville and get the Rockets place and get some wedding soup and cavatel.
You know what's funny, Bob? I've played there my whole life. It's my second year coaching there. I have not eaten there yet. I have not done it yet. Everyone says it's unbelievable. I haven't done it yet.
You got to take the time, man. One time, just leave at halftime.
That's right.
It's a Lowville game. It's at their concession stand. Coach McLaughlin had to assure me the concession stand would be open for the second scrimmage for me to sign up to go down there. Can't leave there without the wedding soup and cavatel.
Me and you, after the scrimmage, we're going. We're going to eat.
Chicken parm, Sammy all day long. Sounds good.
All right, Tony, what about you with the media side, best high school stadium?
I mean, Bob took my answer, Hall of Fame Stadium. I will have to say, even though I have never covered high school, like a Massillon Tiger game per se, I'd say Massillon Tiger Stadium is one of the better stadiums in the area. I'd also have to say I've covered a lot. I'd say Veterans Stadium in Aurora, because they always turn out and they always have a lot of great support throughout the community. And also, even though their team has had their struggles a bit, but they always have a great fan base. I say Stewart Field is Solon. It's a big stadium, and I hope they do get a couple like playoff games at some point, maybe a state semifinal or regional final like they did like a decade ago.
Gotcha. I got you for sure.
Real quick. No one said Ravenna Stadium. The blue turf's pretty cool. You
I
don't
lived
get
by
that
Ravenna
everywhere. I don't know how
Stadium.
many of those exist. I had to throw it out there. I'm sorry.
I know you're good. I actually lived in Ravenna till last year, so I've been to many a game over there.
I got you. Well, blue turf is always cool. I mean, you can't go wrong with the colored turfs. For sure, adds a different layer of difficulty for anybody who's not at that stadium there. This next one was supposed to be for Sean and Tamba, seeing how those guys teach to work together as teachers, but they coach at neighboring rival schools. But Sean, we're just going to let you talk crap here since Tamba had to run out. Tell us why the North-South rivalry in Lake County is so fierce between your two schools.
Yeah, it's pretty unique because I actually teach at Willoughby Middle, which feeds into Willoughby South, 7th grade ELA, and Coach Tamba is Willoughby South's defensive coordinator, and he's the other 7th grade ELA teacher. So we meet and plan every day for our ELA stuff. But one night a week, we're bitter rivals, and we both want to get the best of each other. But it's one big district, so we have two high schools, which I don't know how many districts are like that still. A few of them emerged over the years. And if our levy doesn't pass in November, we're looking to merge potentially as well. But so we have 3 middle schools. 2 of them feed into North. 1 feeds into South. These kids all grow up playing sports. Nowadays, everything's travel. So they all grow up playing travel sports. I grew up in East Lake, and I played East Lake Little League and East Lake Youth Football. And, nowadays they're all intertwined, and with social media, they all know each other. So the rivalry is not as intense as it was probably in the 80s and the 90s. But in that night and that week leading up to it, there's a lot of hoopla and festivities and pep rallies and something going on at school every day at both schools. But Coach Duffy, the head coach, he and I are really good friends. Coach Tom is a dear friend of mine. So it's a really unique thing. And we've worked really hard to try to keep some of the nonsense away from the game with the kids in the stands and in the community and that type of thing. But we're good friends, and we can kind of separate those things, and we'll talk ball all week long, except for that week we play each other, and then we just don't even talk about it, or we'll just kind of bust chops a little bit. But we know each other so well on and off the field. There's really nothing that anybody's going to be able to slip or share anyways.
I gotcha. You took it out of my mouth. I would say, how much crap do you guys talk to each other and little jabs you guys get into working together that week, knowing that it's that game? Do you guys bust each other's balls during the week?
A little bit, not too much, to be honest with you. We just kind of let the Friday night thing run its course, and it is what it is. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and there's bigger things than a win or a loss. We all want to win the game, obviously, but at the end of the day, Monday rolls around, we both got to go teach ELA together. So it's a unique, different situation for sure.
No, I gotcha. All good there. This next one, I want all of your guys' opinions on this. Are all-star games in the summer worth the time and the effort that goes into coaching these? And D. Frank, let's start with you.
Yeah, so this is one that's unique here in Pennsylvania. Here in Erie, we have the second oldest all-star game in the country. They just had the 84th edition of the Save an Eye football game to benefit children's eyesight. Our knock on it was that they had scheduled like a month of practices, and we said, that's not going to work anymore. So we've got them down to a week of practices. So if you got an all-star game, cool, but it should be a week and done, and that's the rule. The traditions are cool. It's great for a lot of those kids because it's their last time playing high school football forever. And we have such a strong tradition here, 84 years, everybody's dads and granddads and everybody else who played in this game. It's a pretty big deal. So for us, yeah, we're in.
I gotcha. Drew, what about you?
Yeah, so actually this past summer I was nominated by coaching peers to coach the Mahoney and Trumbull All-Star game back in June. I was kind of not hesitant to do it, but, I don't want to take away from, Louisville, but I'm really glad I did do it. You get to meet a lot of different kids from different schools and get a lot of different perspectives, on different, how they operate, their rivals. It's cool to see them, be on the same team when they were rivals with each other. We had 2 Ursuline, 2 Mooney kids on the same team, and they chirp back and forth, but it's cool to see that. As a coach, I really did enjoy it. Actually, I didn't know this till the game, but I was the only I was the first player and head coach to ever be a part of the Mountain Trouble game, so I thought it was really cool. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I want to do it. I think I'm good for a few years now, though. Let somebody else do it, but overall, I think it's a good time.
I get you, Sean. What about you?
Yeah, so we still have one kind of went away, and we still have another one in the area. I think it's a cool experience for kids if they want to participate. We're starting to see more and more of our kids back out of it. Either they're getting ready to go play college and they don't want to risk the injury, or like we kind of talked at the beginning, just the outside distractions that for them, they're just done and they don't want to put in the time to give up a week or two in summer. I do recommend it for some of the younger coaches. I did it probably 5 or 10 years straight in some capacity as the head guy or an assistant guy in different ones. And it's a really good way to network and kind of build those relationships. And it's kind of a good way for you to kind of set up some scrimmages and 7-on-7s. And when you're trying to build those schedules for those non-conference games, building those relationships, plus just like clinic talk, just reaching out to guys on, hey, how are you going to stop RPO or, what are you going to run against a mint front and those types of things and pick guys' brains on that sort of thing. So it's a really cool, fun experience. One of the problems now I find too is, we have so many days we're allowed to use in the summer. It just really starts to wear you out and wear your staff out. We didn't have as many days when I started, so it wasn't as bad. But man, now if you add another week or two with an all-star practice on top of all the days we get in the summer before we get to August, it starts to be a lot and you can kind of grind guys down a little bit.
I gotcha. Tony, what about you from the media side? Still muted, Tony.
Oh, there we are. The two that I covered this past year, the North-South Classic in Massillon, it's a really great event, features the National Guard, and it's just a really great showcase. And also the East-West at John Carroll. It has rotated between John Carroll and Baldwin Wallace in the past, but it's also a really great event because honestly, if there's still that football itch and I want to still cover a little bit of football while spring sports are going on, is North-South, which I've covered for at least 4 or 5 years, and the East-West, which I've covered the past couple of years. I like the concept of all-star games because you'll even some of those players will end up going to college. Some may not be putting on pads at all. It's maybe the last time they ever put on football pads. It's a great way to show up and show your talents one more time.
I got you. Marsko, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely love the idea of all-star games. The one that's big in our area, Coach McLaughlin already touched on. He got to lead the Mahoning County team this past year, the Jack Garvin Classic. I got to be a water boy a couple times when my cousins were in the game, so I got to know about it from a young age. I'm 2-0 in that game with the Trumbull team. I was on Coach Shaner's staff a couple years ago, and then I was the defensive coordinator. The one time it was at Hubbard. Seems to be where it's at most of the time. Rotates a little bit, but Hubbard's always a great venue for that. But no, the idea of it's great. Get those kids get one last chance to go out and hit somebody as hard as they can without it being assault. The parents are all about getting to wear the jersey one more time. Tony mentioned it. It's a little appetizer to spring workouts beginning. Get your little spring fix of football. We don't get to do spring ball here in Ohio, but it definitely gets your imagination going at a unique time of the year. And I've never found it to be too much of a grind. I don't know if now I'm graying. I'm very much getting older. This job's aging me a little bit, but I've still got the juice to grind through it and, have some of those longer days. So I've never found it cumbersome. I think we're all taskmasters as coaches, and being able to compartmentalize how your time's divided and focusing on where your feet are at the time is, easier for some of us because of the nature of the job we do. So I'm a big believer in all aspects of it. And again, I mentioned apathy earlier. Apathy in many ways kind of, drives kids away, or like Coach Sean saying, I want to give up a week of summer, and to each his own. I mean, everyone's got their own agenda, but I'm all about them. I think they're great for the game, and I hope they stay around. Like I was sat on the big 33 game last. Like growing up, I always watched the Ohio versus Pennsylvania All-Star game. And they had some crazy streak. How many Super Bowls in a row a member of that All-Star game had played in a Super Bowl? So sad to see ones like that go, but I think the ones that are still around are awesome for the game.
I got you, Bob. Round us out a little bit on this one.
I think it's a thing, like I said, like Bruce, you get kids playing together. They won't, they might be buddies or something, just hanging around and stuff. And I think it's good. Maybe have a little bit earlier. I know they had it in June this year. Maybe do it like in the middle of May or something, right when the kids are still getting ready to get out of school and stuff. But other than that, I think it's great for the area. It's always a very good competitive football game, and it's always fun to, like you said, get a little taste of football in the summer sometimes. I always thought maybe switching sports sometimes, let baseball play in the fall and let football play in like March through April. So always been my son's always been a baseball guy, and it seems like you would play more games in the fall during baseball season than you do in the summer sometimes, getting all the rainouts.
Yeah, absolutely. One that I want to mention that I didn't think would get mentioned on here for an All-Star game is back in the OVAC, the West Virginia Ohio All-Star game that gets played at Wheeling Island there in Wheeling, West Virginia. It happens every year. I love that. I've been to that a bunch. Had the opportunity to play in that, but had an unfortunate shoulder injury and decided against it. That I didn't find out till after the season that I actually had a hurt shoulder. But it's a game that I think it's fun for the players. You get to see guys that were rivals on the field now having to come to play together. And like everyone else said, it's one last chance to put the pads on one last time and get out there on the field for most, if not all of them. But it's always a competitive game, and it brings everybody out to Wheeling Island Stadium, and it's a great event. And I've been to a couple of them. I had a couple of buddies that played in a bunch of them, and it was just a fun to see that. And it's one of the games that it gets televised too as well, so you can always watch it wherever you're at. But we're running a little bit short on time, so I'm going to have to go to Drew and Marsco on this one here. As small school head coaches, do you guys think it's worth it for your school or any small schools to play against bigger schools to be better prepared for the playoff? In your opinion, Marsco, let's start with you.
So I think with the nature of being public schools and enrollment in our area, all Northeast Ohio for that matter, is where it's at. And I think that's a year by year observation you got to make. Like this year for us particularly, the schedule is already set upon getting hired, but we have 41, 42 kids on the team right now, and playing a bigger school where, depth might be what makes them separable from what you are. This year would have been a great year to do it. Moving forward, if the numbers don't increase themselves, and we're going to try like heck to make sure that happens. But if the numbers don't increase, I could speak from being at the FCS level at Youngstown State. We should have beat Pitt twice while I was there, and we had West Virginia on the ropes till midway through the fourth quarter. When you don't have as many dudes, if you will, in excess, and you might have 11 dudes that could compete, but you have to rotate at some point or put in a sub or have these other guys on special teams. Attrition that naturally happens, and I think it's a little harder. Coach Pegues at Farrell, I think they're very fascinating to pay attention to. I have a lot of respect for them because their numbers are always very small, but they're also able to create that depth from within where it's not detrimental to them. So I really do just think it's a case-by-case basis and what your enrollment numbers are and, what big fish are you going after. They're not all created the same. Some of these bigger fish are also hurting enrollment-wise, and it's not as much an inadequacy roster-wise as some may think. So that's all to be considered too, but case by case.
I got you. Drew, what about you?
Yeah, well, I agree with what Marcy was saying. I think the biggest thing, for any small school like ourselves, comes down to who you got in the team. Like this year, we have a really experienced senior class. We have a really good junior class as well. Having 30 guys on the team, that may seem small, but out of 30, I truly believe we have 19 varsity players. So, like this year, we played Columbiana week 1, and Columbiana has probably 45 on their team. But I'm okay with that. Definitely okay with that. You play at 11 at a time. Maybe next few years or wherever coaching goes for anyone. You sit down and you think maybe we shouldn't play this game just based off of the numbers you have and the guys you have in your team and the dudes. So I think it's a case-by-case scenario. You just got to do what's best for your team. That's the biggest thing. You don't put these kids in a bad situation, put the school in a bad situation, because things get ugly pretty quick. So, as the head guy, you got to make those hard decisions. And like I said, this year I'm very confident in our schedule and the teams we play. Even look at our league. Mineral Ridge is going to come to Louisville with 75 guys. It is what it is, but you only play 11. So I think it's a year-by-year basis. You got to make evaluations and go from there.
I gotcha. All right. Like I said, we're running a little bit short on time. I can give you guys about 45 seconds each or less on this one, and it's for my coaches. So, D. Frank, Drew, Sean, and Chris. And 45 seconds left. Give us your outlook for the keys to your team's potential success this season. D. Frank, we'll start with you.
Hey, we got a healthy quarterback, man. We got Division I wide receiver Deontay Flemings Jr., who's a Penn State commit. But, this is a blessing that we've never had. We have skill position players unlike we haven't had in a long time, and in some really, really solid linemen to back them up. Our schedule is challenging, but not as challenging as it was last year. We're really looking forward to some of the Ohio schools that we're getting into. And, our whole season leads up to the playoffs. So it's, we will go as far as we stay healthy. And that's exactly where we're at, brother. And I couldn't be more excited to go and compete against all of you guys from Ohio, because apparently you guys invented football. And, we're going to come and compete against you every single week. Love you guys.
Sean, what about you?
Yeah, for us, we got some new faces, especially the guys carrying the ball. So we need guys to really develop and step up as soon as we get back at it next week and get the pads on and get to August 1st. Things will start to separate, and we'll have a little clearer idea of where we're at and where we're headed. Year 2 in a new offense, which is going to be nice. Kids are very comfortable with what we're doing offensively. New defensive coordinator, so it'll be a learning curve for him. He's a really young guy, but he's pretty dynamic. I'm excited to see what he can do. And our guys are doing a good job holding each other accountable and leading. So that's the positive.
I got you. Marsko, what about you?
Yeah, so we're excited about the unknown for everyone. I don't think there's a lot of predictions about what we're going to do. I think everything's at a real low boil right now in town and outside of our locker room. The kids just keep working hard. I told everyone this year we don't want to be in the business of making predictions. Players wanted to use the abbreviation hush until success happens is kind of like our battle cry, if you will, this year. So I'm going to defer to that, and I'm going to keep hush here on any predictions or outlooks. Just like Coach DeFrank said, we want to hope that we stay healthy, our opponents stay healthy, and we play our best ball when we need to. Go Vikings.
Gotcha. All right. Drew, round us out here.
Yeah, our attitude, accountability, and aspirations, the 3 A's that we focus on. Our attitude, how we treat each other. Accountability, are you doing what you got to do to be successful? And our aspirations, how far you want this thing to go. That's going to take us where you want to be. Our skills, I feel like our skill can compete with best in the area. Our line, they're young, but they're doing a great job. And our mentality, it's a FEA year. F them all, baby. Go Rockets.
Gotcha. It's good to hear that, and the fire and all you coaches and everything like that. Looking for big things out of all of you guys here this season. But with all that being said, that is going to do it for our high school football preview show here on Ride Home Rants. I want to thank everybody, Bob, D. Frank, Sean, Bogan, Drew, Marsko, Tomba when he was on. I think I got everybody. I hope I didn't miss anybody there. There was a lot of guys on here. I love to see these big round tables and everything like that. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode.
What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going.